Welcome everyone. Today we are going to be just trying to live code the Starbucks homepage. When I done a poll a couple of days ago just asking what people might want to see, it seemed like live coding something would be helpful, so that's what we're going to do. And then I just randomly went around, and this is actually the first site I looked at, and I'm like, I think we can do that in not too long. So we'll see how well that assumption lines up with reality here. Again, if the music's too loud, or if I'm speaking too loud, or anything like that, let me know. I'll rely on you for those kind of balance things. All right, when it comes to actually coding this thing out, we're just going to jump right in. And I'd love to know where you're watching from, or if you've got projects you're working on, I'd love to hear what those are. Here is the page we're going to start with right here. And you can see that we've got these sections here. And all I've done so far, I haven't done any kind of planning out or anything because I wanted to do that live, hence the whole coding in public thing. But we've got, looks like 4 basic sections here, and they all just have images one way or the other. And then, let's see, we've got this interactive bar and then these buttons. So that's what we're going to work on today. All I've done is grab these pictures. Hey, Neon Tuts, welcome. Good to see you again. All I've done is grab these pictures, and that's it. And I've added them into a folder, so that's what I've got over here. And so assets right here, these 4 pictures, and I've added them here. Now, what I want to do is actually start with this as a mobile first design. That's typically how I code stuff out, and then I've got 3 empty files here. I don't even know how much we're going to get to today, but I figured, well, we'll give this a one and done, and wherever we get is where it will be. So let's go ahead and start if I can. Let's see, is it going to help me out here? There we go. All right, so let's call this Starbucks clone. And then I went ahead and looked because I assumed that this had some kind of special font, and it looks like whatever it is you have to pay for, and I'm not going to pay for it. So I did find that Open Sans evidently is close to it, so we'll just use that. All right, so when it comes to designing this thing out, like I said, I want to do this in mobile first. Oops, shut that down. Mobile first design. So let's go ahead and move it here. And I haven't done any planning of this out yet. So let's kind of plot out what this might look like. In fact, maybe let's come over here and add a document. Let's call this readme.md. And then let's just kind of think through what we've got here. So I've got, obviously I've got the nav section. And here I know I'm going to need a mobile and a desktop nav. Starbucks. You work there all the time. Nice. Hopefully you'll feel right at home. I know as far as, let's get some components set out here. Actually, let's do this. So components. Let me close that sidebar down. Oh, I can't do that in a markdown file. Here we go. Okay, so for components, I know we've got some buttons. And as I look at these, let's see, we've got this white button. We've got this green button. Do we have any other buttons? Not here. We do in here though. So we've got a dark button that looks black, and then a black button. So we've got 4 buttons. So we got 4 of these to worry about. And let's see what else we've got. These colors. So I guess let's add this underneath components. So we've got colors we've got to grab. I'm gonna try not to inspect it because I really want to just do this by eye rather than just copying what they've got, or you can just do that yourself. We've got these icons we're gonna have to add. I think I'll probably just grab their SVGs here since I'm assuming that this is slightly custom. And then their logo. Okay, so we've got that. We've got these colors. We've got 4 sections. So looks like all of these sections are flex. And then do they all have the images up top? Yeah. So all images up top on mobile, but not necessarily that way on desktop. I've got the desktop over here. Yeah. So images alternate on desktop, but on mobile, they're all stacked up top. They've all got space between them. Okay. What does this do on? Okay. So that's that section. And then here it's just expanded and there's no icon or anything like that. So I'm guessing, I'm not totally sure I'm going to do that yet. Yeah. Okay, so let's set that stuff off as a separate section. So footer, what are we going to call this? Collapse. something like that. And then this bottom section is the same everywhere. It's just a little different there. So we'll call that subfooter. Okay, so these are kind of our sections, our components, colors, all that kind of stuff. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and just get this text in here, and I'll put, I guess I've got the images, so I can drop them in there too. All of these are going to be, again, on mobile, pictures first. They've got the same spacing, it looks like. Is that true? Yeah, looks like about the same, maybe 2 rem, something like that. Let's check in here. Yeah, about 2 rem. So space between all these go flush to the side, and then it looks like they cap out somewhere, whatever size this might be. Looks maybe 1440, something like that. And then they go side to side. So let's do this. Let's order these things just like they're in the DOM here. And then these are all links, I'm guessing. Menu featured. Just trying to figure out if these are buttons or links semantically. These all look to be links. It's a link to. This is a link, and that's a link. Okay, so everything's a link, including this. So there's no true like button semantically. Called an accordion, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Whatever those things are called. Hey everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of copy some of this out. So I've got this pasteboard manager. I don't know what this is on my pasteboard, but let's get rid of that. Called pastebot, and I can just grab all these things in a row and then paste them back in the same order I grabbed them on it. I've actually done a video on it before, but I find this is super helpful when doing a design or, you know, copying stuff over from Figma. I wonder, is this the whole thing an image? I'm not really sure. Got that. We'll figure that out when we get to it. So let's just do the middle section first. A lot of times starting at the very top, like the nav usually takes a little bit of time, and so I just like to get some progress, and that encourages me going that way. So let's name these sections. Let's just do like 1, 2, 3, something like that. So these are all going to be inside of main tag, and then section, let's do, can I do just $sign there for like number 1 times 4? There we go. Oh, those are section tags. Oops. So let's call this section 1 times 4. All right, so we've got these 4 sections. Each of these, let's see, do I need a wrapper around them? They're flex. I think I'll be okay like this. So what I am going to do is give these things, let's see, flex reverse for any of them that wrap upwards. So the first and the third. So I'm going to say just reverse on these for our class. Reverse. And then inside here, these should all be H2s. Choose your mood, all this kind of stuff. So let's do this. Let's have an H2. And typically I like to have my semantic stuff and my styling separated. So like I'd have a class of H2 on this as well. And that way, if I have some other text that I want to have that, but it's not semantically in H2, I'm not tied to that, and vice versa. So I'll do that. And then we'll just paste this stuff in kind of one after the other. This paragraph here, let's see, I guess, are these all white? No, they're not. That's the only white one. So maybe we'll just add something on this section. So inside here, let's paste that. And let's also put in here text white or light, maybe. I don't know if that's exactly white or not. Okay, and then we're going to have a button down below. So this will be A with a class of button, and we'll point it to nowhere. And it's also going to need a button light because it's one of those white buttons. So I'll add that. So that's section 1. Let's get this moved over here. Okay, section 2. Oh, I guess I need an image here too. So this is all going to be one section. If I wrap this, so Command-Shift-P and then do wrap with abbreviation, we can give this a div with a class of, actually, I just need a dot there. We'll just call this flex child because they're all going to be the exact same. And then inside here, I'll do another one. So flex child, and this will have an image tag in the middle of it. And I have no idea what I call these things. I think I just grabbed them from the site, whatever they were. So let's see, this would be assets. And then I'm guessing it's hero, maybe. So we'll call this drinks or something. All right, so that should be good to go. We've got those 2 sections. Now let's do the same thing. Actually, let's just copy this down. And semantically, I think this one is first. So we'll change this to probably Uber. I think I saw that one in there. And we'll call this Uber. Sorry, I keep hitting my mic over here. And then same thing here. So we're going to have another flex child. Actually, let's copy this down. And we're going to add this to all these sections here. Move this down here, copy that twice. Same thing. Okay. Let's come back in here. So we're in the second section, flex child. We've got an H2 with a class of H2, coffee made delivered. Same thing here, paragraph tag with your order can go. And now this is going to be outline. Is that dark? I can't even tell. Or is that green? Well, it's our clone. We can do whatever we want. So let's say button and then button. Let's do green. How about this? Outline, green. I don't know, something like that. Point it to nowhere and add that in there. If you're watching right now, I'd love to know where you're watching from. All right, inside here, this next one is going to be another paragraph here. We'll give this H2. Now that's a little different styling wise, but it does need to be semantically an H2. So let's call it H2 with a class of maybe H3. And that's what I mean by, like, sometimes you want the styling and the semantic to be different, but I don't want to be bound to a certain styling or a certain semantic tag. Obviously, you want to choose what's best for each. And then in here, same thing. It looks like we've got 0 all the way through year. All right. Here, if I Command-Shift-P, I can wrap this with a strong tag. All right, and then we've got a learn more button down here. So button, actually, let's just do the same thing. Let's copy this down. Inside here. And we'll call this learn more. All right, I've also got a image that's inside here. So we'll go image. And the source is assets. And what is this one? Card, probably. And down here too, except this one, let's see, the image comes first semantically as well. So assets and Black history. All right, down here, let's look. This looks like the same style as this. So then that's an H2 with a class of H3. And celebrating Black History Month. Same kind of thing down here. And then let's copy this one down again. No, not that. Where's my button? And it's learn more, so we don't even have to change the text. Although now that I've got that on my clipboard, I'm going to have to change it just to get it off. All right, there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and open this thing up. Let's see, do I have to open it on the side? Oh, I guess I can click down here. Go live. There we go. All right, it's ugly, but it's ours. And there it is. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's just style this first off. I'm going to grab this and let's see, I don't need that. That's some other thing I did. Let's see, I think I can peek in here and see what font sizes they have. Well, let's just look. It looks about the same. I'm not going to get too picky. 2 and 3. So about 3 different font sizes or weights. So I typically skip one if I can. So like, let's say we started with regular. So I'd go regular, and I think there may have been some metallics there. And then we go to 600 next. Let's see right here. And then, is there an 800? Yeah, so 800. So that's what I typically do. I just think that kind of skipping around gives you a little bit more definition as you go from stage to stage. And let's grab, if it lets me, all this. And let's jump over here and add that up top. And then let's grab this open stance. Okay. So we're good there. Switch back over this way. And we'll set the body to that. Oh, we got to hook it up. Didn't even do that. So let's come down here and link :CSS. And it is called that. And then let's go ahead and just set up our JavaScript too. So script, let's see, script src. And I think I just called it app.js, and then you can defer, or if you set it as a type of module, it'll defer anyhow after the body, if I can type. Okay, so set to go there. That's more or less a color that kind of works. So let's look through what we've got. We've got all these main tags. We're going to use that as the parent. We've got our buttons we've got to set up, our colors. So let's do a basic clear. Let's get the color set. And then maybe let's worry about the sections. and then we'll do buttons. So let's grab the befores and the afters, like that. And we'll set this to margin of 0, padding 0, and border box sizing. What is that? Border box. And then I think I'm just going to set all my images to max 100% width. From India. Nice, Neon. That's cool. I didn't know that. So I've got these, I've got the chat displayed all the way over on my other monitor, so it's a little hard to see. All right, hopefully that'll help. Okay, so that already starts to make stuff look a lot better. Let's then grab some colors, and I'm going to do the same thing. I think we can just inspect this. I feel good about that. I mean, you got to steal the colors if you're going to do it right. Let's see, computed right here. And where are my colors? Background color. So that'll work. So let's call this, just call it green. And then, actually, let's just look at the whole, man, if I can see this, the whole body. Scroll down. I'm assuming they've got, oh, look at this. That's what we need. All right, let's see what colors we're going to actually use. I don't need their entire system here. We've got this light green color. So let's do that. Let's call this light green, like that. Is this black or is it green? I think it's that green color. So I think it actually is that. So maybe we can change up that styling. All those look the same. Now this text, I think this text is going to be, it's totally black. I don't like that. I'd prefer for it to be just a little off. So I'm going to change this. Let's call this text. And let's see, let's just click in here. I'm just going to drag this all the way down. I don't know. I just kind of like it when the blacks aren't true blacks. I live in Utah, Neon. Yeah, in the US. So I've got those colors. I've got a white. I'm assuming that's just white. So let's call it good with those 4. And we can come back if we need to. Let's do the same thing. Let's grab this and just set a barely off white or off green white. Something up here. That's probably not even quite light enough. Let's get all the way up that way. Okay. All right, so I guess we do have this gray color. What is this going to be? Computed, is it going to give us a color here? So it's just like 50% opacity. I mean, technically that's a color. So let's grab that. Oops. So let's call this gray. And I don't need that on it. Okay, so we're good there. Now let's go ahead and set up these button components. Oops, I'm already exploring menus. All right, so we've got what we said, 1, 2, and then maybe if these were the same color. So that might actually be the same. Let's see, this turns like a black color. What does this do? Yeah, so I guess maybe this is the same. So maybe we've got 3. So if we came over here, let's kill this. And let's change this to 3 and then prematurely mark it off because of how confident we are we're going to get this right. So I've got the clear. Then let's see. I guess we'll leave my body alone for now. And then let's set a little section here for components. And we'll start with some buttons. So for my button class, I'm assuming this font size, I mean, it looks like the normal body font, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Does that look bold, though? I don't think so. I don't think so. I guess I can come in here. Font weight, 600. So maybe the middle. That'll work. So let's come back over here. So font weight, we'll set that at our 600 too. And then text decoration will be none. And were those capitalized or no? Uppercase? I don't think so. All right, and then let's see. I guess we'll also need a border. Maybe 1 pixel, solid. Actually, that's going to be related to color, so we can leave that alone too. But maybe just so we can see it, let's set this to var of like gray or something, or text. And let's come over here. There we go. So let's set a border radius. And again, I don't want to look at any of their styling. Not that that would be wrong, but I mean, you can do that. And the idea is to kind of think through this more rather than like getting it pixel perfect, because looking at it will give us other hints that I don't want to see. So we'll set a padding up top of like 0.2 rem, so real small. And then maybe like, I don't know, maybe even 1 rem side to side. Something like that. Does that look about right? That's pretty close. I mean, it's pretty narrow. And then let's pull this out. And we had a button, I think we called that green. Is that right? Button light and button outline green. Let's just do green. Well, no, we've got an outline green and we've got that dark color. So maybe we do need to keep this. So come back in here, button outline green. And here we will add this in. And let's see, this one right here. We also want the color of the text to be the same. So we'll do our var of text. Actually, both of these should be green, right? Yeah. So we'll grab both of those and change those to green. And is there anything else special about that? I guess the hover state. So let's set a transition. I guess it would just be background color. And we'll do like 200 milliseconds ease in, out, maybe. And then this one, we will just make slightly smaller and probably on hover. Let's see, let's do the is selector here, a hover or is focus. Then let's just change the background color. So we probably also need to set up, say those all in that light green, but it's not over here. So maybe let's set an explicit color here of, so background color transparent, so that we can get kind of a difference in the hover state. And then here we'll set it to, ooh, you know what? We should use that gray. We've got it set up already. So let's do that. Var gray, because that's semi-transparent. Gray. How do I spell that? Gray. Why is this not looking right? Border, background color. I don't know. I'm sure it'll work. Let's come over here and check. So here are dark ones. Okay, so that's a little too dark. So maybe let's do this. Let's set our, what is it, green? So we'll call this green hover, which is a horrible name, but it is what we've got. And then, actually, yeah, let's do that just for sake of time. It's probably not the way I would normally do it, but let's change this to HSL. And then we'll set this to like 0.2 maybe. So HSL, wrap this in here. And I've just got something on my system with, that's not quite right. Oh, I never changed it. Hover green. Yeah, I mean, kind of. Does this turn white? What does this do? Nope, just stays the same. Does that look about right? Yeah. I think maybe this does need a little bit more padding up top. And maybe this is a little farther. I'll set this to a little bit of a bigger border radius. 0.3, I don't know. I mean, we're just kind of picking random numbers now. So, okay, so we've got those all set up. Hover state's all working properly. Do they need anything else? I don't think so. So let's do the white ones next. So let's just copy both of these up, and I'll set these both at light. So call these light, and the only difference is that they're white for these. So let's call this white for both of those. The rest of that all the same. I think so. And then we'll change this to white as well. And then we'll change that to white hover. That works. So white, and then let's come up here and do that same thing. So we'll call this white hover. And let me get this copied over using my little system here. So we'll set this to 0.2% as well. And then HSL. Okay, so let's see if that works. That's that one. Where's my white hover? Oh, here. You can barely see it. So it's got to have a background that's dark enough. All right, so we could set up utility classes for these, but I think for sake of time, let's just copy them or type everything manually here. So this first one's going to be dark. This one's going to be light. I guess all the rest will be light. So let's come back in here. What do we call this? Section 4. So we've done that. Let's now do our sections down here. And we'll do section 1 is the only one that'll have a, this is a class, that'll have a background color of our green. There we go. And then this will also have a color of our white for all the text inside there. Okay, and then all the rest of these, so maybe what we should do is just call the section. Obviously, if you're doing a whole site, you're not going to do this, but I'll just grab the semantic tag here of section. We'll change this to background color of, what was that, green light or something? Light? Why am I not seeing this in VS Code? Light green. Well, that's probably why. Light green. Okay. So now those are all shown. Cool. So we got a decent amount. Let's go ahead now and kind of space all this out. So my default here would be grid for the parent. So that parent here, let's come up. Let's see, let's just do it right here. Was that main tag? So let's say display grid and then gap of 2 rem. And that should space everything out nicely. And it does. Cool. And then for each of these sections here, they're all going to have display flex on them and then flex wrap of wrap. Actually, let's see, what do we give those? Section 4, so we didn't give them anything. Reverse on this one and reverse on the other one. So the standard will be flex wrap, and then a section with a class of reverse has a flex wrap of reverse. So images should be first on all these now. Okay, cool. Now within each of these flex children, so flex child here, I do want to see, is there going to be any difference? Because these ones just have images. I was seeing if there's going to be any difference spacing wise. I don't think so. So I think we can do on all these the exact same. So I'm going to put a, let's see, section 1. So I'm just going to grab all the flex children. So these are all the sections here. We're going to do a gap of like 1 rem or something like that to start with. So that spaces those out. And then I'm also going to do, so there's no padding by default on mobile. Is there anything on desktop? No, not really. I bet if you got like a little smaller, it would. So here, so yeah, I guess there's a little bit of padding on the inside. Maybe a rem. Yeah, it looks like maybe about the same as the spacing. So let's just keep that consistent. So we'll call this padding of 2 rem all the way around. And then I will need to either change the children here for these flex children, or let's see, on desktop I am going to have to change this up a little bit. So let's put this padding on flex child, and then let me grab all of these. Actually, let's do this. Let's grab anything with an image tag following it. So I should have several of those. And for those, we will say flex child image or something like that. And then I'm going to grab all of these and make sure they don't have padding. Again, if you're doing this for production, there'll probably be quicker or better ways to do that, but we've only got so much time here. I mean, already that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now these buttons are stretching the full width because they're now flex children or grid children, so we'll need to figure that out. This spacing probably could be a little bit better. So it looks like that's pretty spaced out. It looks like they all are. So actually it looks like more like 2 rem on everything, so that it's consistent all the way around. Yeah, I think that works. That looks a little odd, that choose your mood thing. Okay, so that's all text align center. Is it all text align center? Yeah, the whole way down. How about over here? Weird. Huh, okay, cool. Well, that makes it easy for us. So we'll just say in all of these, text align. of center. So we're a good way there. Let's see, we've got these H2s and H3 classes we need to worry about. These buttons themselves. So maybe let's first do that. On these flex children, we're just going to say justify items center. And that pushes those to the center here. And then let's do a line, or sorry, justify content center as well. No, that's not right. Margin auto. Does that push it to the middle? Yeah. Okay, there we go. That's still not quite right. Let's come back up here to our colors and shift that around using nth child. Yeah, that's true. I don't think that we need to do that though. It's not a bad idea, but with the images, since they alternate, sometimes they're the first child, sometimes there's the second child. If that's what you meant, I'm kind of thinking that'll be more trouble than it's worth. Okay, so let's next work on these text sizes, or the colors here. And I think all the body font is it that dark green? It is here. Looks like here, is that a different color? I can't tell on my monitor. Computed. So that's that dark green. I think it's the same thing. Huh. Is this the same? Maybe just because it's bigger, yeah. All right, so let's make this a little bit bigger. So let's say under components, I guess. This probably isn't really components, but let's call this like headers. And then H2. I guess, oh, they are going to be different font weights. So we'll do font weight of 600, or no, this is the big one, 800, I think. And then font size. I'm guessing it looks like, here's the actual Starbucks site, right? Yeah. I guess we can figure out what the size is. What does it say? 9.8, where's the, oh, 24. And then these down here, is this the same? Come on, help me out. All right. Margin, why isn't that telling me the size of the font? Arg. Line height, it's a little bit bigger than normal. Font size 19. Okay. So we'll set this to 24 pixels. Actually, let's clamp it. And we'll do 24 pixels. We'll do like 3 view width plus 2 rem or something random. And then I'm guessing it'll be more maybe like 32 the whole way up. So let's see if that changed anything. I feel like that needs a little more letter spacing too. So do like 0.02 m maybe. Is that too much? All right, cool. So we've got that set for those two. And all of this should have the color of green. Or I do have a text. I must have gotten that from something. I feel like it needs to be text. Or no, that was the black color. So I think it is green. We could go back and check and look, but yeah. Okay, so that works. All that looks fine. So now let's just come in here and change these out. So I think the only real change we're going to have on these H3s is going to be, this will need to be 600, and then this needs to be 19 pixels. And I guess we could do, I mean, obviously I'd have to have some kind of real type system set up here, but we'll just do increments of 4 to 5 pixels, something like that. Letter spacing, maybe let's cut that down a bit too. So that's ours, and that's theirs. So again, it looks like that one, is that one not bold? Just this one? I can't tell. All right, that's good enough for me. So we're going to set that like that. That all looks right. Okay, so now let's go ahead and come over here. Let me open this up just in the large size, and you can see we've got a problem, and that is that it's not, you know, everything's taken up its full size. So let's do this. I'm fine with the Flex Children taking up that room now, but I'm just going to do the media queries inline here to keep things spaced out. Screen And min width, let's do 768 pixels. And here we're going to take the flex children and say they need to be flex 1, 1 for grow and shrink. And then let's set them to 100%. And, oh, what am I doing? I can either set this to flex 100, like that. Nope. Let's see. Well, I know I can do something more like this. Min width. Did I do all that right? I think so. There we go. Okay, so now they're set out. All right, let's go ahead and just clamp everything in the middle based off of that grid tag itself, this section. And I think we said that was something like 1440. I must have zoomed in. Did I zoom in? Yeah. So 1440. So let's come up here to our main tag, wherever that is. And here we're going to say max, let's do it down here. Max width is 1440 pixels. And then we will do margin auto. And that puts it in the middle. There we go. Oh, that's their site. There we go. That's ours. That's not too different. All right, cool. So it looks like their fonts do get a lot bigger, but we can worry about that later. Did these all... So yeah, they all take up just the natural size of the image. That kind of sets that. Cool. So I'm going to call that good enough for now. Let's work on... Let's see. We've got the footer section down here, and then we've also got the nav. Now, not that this footer isn't interesting, but I mean, basically we're just talking about collapsible accordions that just open up and then are pre-opened without this button there on desktop, so that's not super exciting. This, there's no way we're going to get that automation without copying what they've got or taking a long time, but we can get the sidebar at least opening up. So let's do that. Let's look at the markup on desktop too. So it looks like they've got this over here and these three, and then all those on the bottom. What does it look like in here? Okay, so yeah, these are separate. Now, we're probably not going to do this multi-level nested menu. What is it over here? Oh, you just click on it. Okay, so on mobile here, they've got that multi-level, and everything else they don't. Okay, well, let's go ahead and work on this. I do need to copy this. I mean, I'm not going to recreate this from scratch. Let's grab all this and just copy the element. And let's come back up to our markup. And up top here, outside of the main, obviously we're going to have, what is this, nav? And then we'll have several things. So we're going to have a logo here. I'm trying to think how I should do this. I guess let's just paste it in. And let's give this class of block. Let's give this a class of logo. And I guess this needs to be, is this a link? Yeah. So let's forget everything we just did and change this to a link. And we'll change this and have this be a class of logo. Okay. That's showing up here. There it is. And let's set a default width here. So they've already got a width and height of 100%, but let's set a width to, I don't know, like 40 pixels, something like that, or 40. And then we can adjust that as we need to. Logo mark. There we go. Ish. All right, and then we've got this thing over here. And again, I think I'll just copy this SVG directly. And that one actually does need to be a button because it's interactable. And let's collapse this. So on the other side, this would just be for mobile, but let's see, how should we structure this? So everything here, everything here is going to be contained inside of this same section. So let's put everything else in the middle here. So this will be a section. This will be a section. That'll be wrapped together. And inside that full wrap will be this button itself as a sister component, a sibling component to the logo. So, so let's call this like nav container. And then inside here, we're going to have several things. We'll have the menu items themselves. What are those called? So let's see. Let's have a UL with 3 LIs. And this will be inside of here. I guess each of these will have a link. That'll point nowhere. We'll say menu. rewards, and gift cards. All right, that works. And then we've got this section here. So let's call this like, let's call this nav UL. And then for each of these LIs here, let's grab this whole thing, hit Command-Shift-L to grab all those. And I'll say, just set this as a roll of none. If I can type, roll of none. And we'll give this a class of, see this, both of these can be the same. Let's do just nav li, and then inside here I'll do class nav link. That's good enough by me. Okay, so I've got all those, and just to make sure those are coming through, there they are. Okay, so this is going to be offset on one side, justify space between with the rest of this section. So we'll call this, this will be a div, but let's just call it like nav actions or something like that. And we'll have 3 things in here as well. So we've got that Find My Store. It has a icon and some text. So let's put this inside a div. And let's call this Store Finder. Store Finder. And let's grab this SVG here. Copy element. And see, I don't think, I guess, why don't we do this? Let's call this Store Finder here. Let's make this a link tag, because they are going to need to actually click on it on either of those. We'd want it to do the same thing. So we'll do href pointing to nothing, like that. And then I guess there's the hover state too. We'd want to have those be together. Can I collapse this? Yes, I can. Error already hidden true, so that hides that. That's good. And then this will say find a store. Maybe let's put this inside a span. Span, oops, find a store. And then we've got 2 more buttons. And just to make sure I'm keeping this straight, can I close this down? Okay. And close this down and close this down. Okay, so Store Finder. And then, yeah, next to these as siblings, we're going to have, both of these will be links, and this will be button, and button outline dark, or green, I think. And this will say sign, oops, this is a point to nowhere, and say sign in. And then the next one will be copied down, and here we'll do filled green or something like that. And this will say join now. So if I save those, that should already have some styling on that one. That's good. All the rest of those work. Did I double copy that in? What in the world? Okay. How many SVGs does a man need? Oh, I added that in the span again, even right after I did it and erased it, I thought. Okay. There we go, find a store. Okay, so we've got that nav set up, and then what I'm going to want, so we've got 2 sections of the nav, the UL here, and then this nav actions. But I'm also going to want another one that I hide on desktop, and that will be our button, which I don't think I ever grabbed the code for that. This code right here, or if I did, I don't think I actually copied it in. So let's copy this, and we'll give this a button called like mobile menu, and we'll paste all that in. There it is. Okay, so again, we're doing mobile first. So let's go ahead and lay this out. It looks like maybe 1 rim around, and again, I'd probably be looking at actual designs. I'm sure we can get that thing going. So let me grab a bunch of these just to kind of keep track of them. And I'll put them on this clipboard again. UL, nav actions, and mobile menu. We're going to need to come back, but at least we've got a lot of those. Let's come up top here and add a nav section. So we'll call this nav. And let's grab our mobile menu first. This is our button. So we're going to, first of all, want cursor of pointer on here so we can actually indicate you need to click. And let's pull this up over here. And we'll do background color. Actually, let's just do background of none. I think there are some weird things in Safari. Border of none. And then let's do padding of like 0.2 rem all the way around. Set this as display grid and place items center. That way the button is right in the middle of that. And then we do want that to be display all. And let's see, what else do I want to be different about this section? I think I need one more structural element because basically I want all this stuff to be in its own little div. So that would be what, all this. So we'll say mobile nav, a div with the class of mobile. This is getting messy as far as naming. Obviously you'd want to probably have a little bit easier names to follow here, but let's grab the mobile nav and we'll for now just do display none just to hide it. Okay, and then let's grab the nav itself and do display flex, and we'll do justify content space between to get those on the outsides, and then padding of like, I think we said 1 rem, it looked something like that, and then come back up here, aligned items center. So just vertically aligning them. There we go. Okay, now we need everything else to be off to the side. And let's see, there's actually space there too. So it looks like it's the same as everything else. So let's come up to the body and just add the same thing we had on the main. So that's display grid and then gap of 2 rem. And that should set everything out there as well. Now I do need some kind of shadow down that way. So where's my nav? Here it is. So we'll do, I guess like a box shadow. Let's do 0 pixels and like 1 pixel down-ish. And then maybe like 4 pixel blur. And then I've got that text. What was that weird one I had? Gray, I think. Did that do anything? Maybe that wasn't working earlier either. RGBA. Oh, I didn't put a, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's a little too dark. So since we're not using this anywhere else right now, let's just add it like that and then maybe back off that blur a touch. Come back down here, maybe 3, 2. I guess I need more blur, right? And then let's go back up to the gray again. Let's change this down to like 3.0. Okay, it doesn't really matter. All right, we've got this little button here. We're not going to get that animation because I guess we could do a little circular animation, but let's first of all worry about the actual functionality, and we'll come back to that. So this needs to be under that. It looks like you also get this full, I'm guessing if you click, yeah, it shuts all that down. Looks like you also can't scroll anymore, whereas you could without that. So there's a couple things we need to do. So I guess let's take the whole section. Maybe we actually need another layer in here to get this outside thing, or we could just put that. Basically, I need to have something that's fixed to the entire screen. Let's see if I click up here, it's not. And we've also got this bar in here, which I can just do in CSS. I'm not going to have this. Let's just get this laid out correctly to start with, and then we'll worry about everything else. So let's go to our display of none. Display none. Where was that? Here, mobile nav. So let's take that off. So now everything stacks up. And let's see, we also had our logo up here. I don't know that we're going to need this at all, but I'll just grab it in here just in case. The nav container, that's spelled correctly. Container is, let's see, the thing that wraps around all of that. So I guess that could be, no, that's going to stay the same. Just in case I need that though, I'll put it there. Mobile nav. Let's grab our nav UL and say list style none. At least drops those off, and then we'll set all of these, I think, are the dark color. Hey, I'm from Utah. Topolog, thanks for asking. In the US. So these are all the dark color. So color of our text, maybe. And then font size, that looks a little bit bigger than normal. 1.2 rem. And again, obviously, I'm just kind of spitballing this. Okay, and we'll have text decoration none. And then let's have this for Let's see, visited, and no, not that. I need that on the actual nav link itself. So we've also got nav actions, mobile menu, which I think I already have somewhere. Do I have a mobile menu? Yeah, okay. So I've got a lot of these out. Let's clear off the clipboard here. Come back here, we've got the colors that we need to worry about. So nav link, color, I think this, I'm just gonna move down here. That fix everything. And then this text decoration needs to be down here. Okay, so we've got those stacked up. This UL2, let's just go ahead and, let's see, you could do margin on those. Actually, there's usually like padding and margin that are weird. So let's just set all this to 0 for now. And then I'll do everything inside here. So we'll do a margin of 0.5 rem maybe and 0. And then I'll do a padding of, let's just do padding up and down. These stretch all the way across. So yeah, let's just do padding up and down of like 0.5 rem and 0. And see, oh no, these are not the ULs, these are the LIs. I do use SAS and stuff, but for something like this, there's not that much stuff. And I mean, it might save us. We get to embed some of this, but I mean, it's not too hard. So I think too, like when you're learning, which a lot of my stuff is more for beginners anyhow, some of that can kind of get in the way. So I figure on a quick demo like this, it's probably better just to stick with CSS. So this needs to be, let's just set this as display of block because I want it to go all the way across anyhow, and then that'll fix that and allow this margin to be worthwhile in doing something. Nav actions is that next little section. And let's see, I've got these, this right here, I don't remember what I call that. Store finder. And these classes just came from Starbucks, I think, yeah. So let's grab this down here. So underneath the nav actions, we've got our store finder, and I want those to be right there. So let's do display of flex, and then align items center, and then text decoration none. And I want this right now to be the same color. So color of our text. And then let's put a little gap between those two, like 0.5 rem. Spaces it up a touch. And then I can set a transition of color on here. Let's do like 200 milliseconds and ease in and out. And then let's copy all this down here. And set is hover or focus. We're just going to change out the color here to our green. It's not quite light enough, so I'm thinking it's a different color green. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to have to set this as styles here. Hover like that. No? I thought I was selected on that. Maybe not. Oh, you know what? It's the parent. Hover. Okay. Now let's figure out what this color is. Right here. So I'm only seeing this right now here, but let's go ahead and just add it up top. Screen, let's call this like, you know, vibrant green or something. That'll work. And then let's come back to our is selector, button light. Where was that? And we'll call this vibrant green. And let's see if that worked. There we go. Okay, we've got one more button, and this one just kind of gets more opaque. And that was our button dark, I think. Or outline, whatever. So let's come to button, outline, green. And here, I think we just called it filled. Is that right? You remember? Filled green. So I'm going to grab both of these and say filled. We're going to set this to text. And then the color here needs to be white. Everything else should be the same. I think the only thing really would be it's going to be a little bit more opaque, so like 0.8-ish. Oh, I need the background color here to be dark. So for our text, something like that. And then we will set this to transition all. Yeah, that works. 200 milliseconds ease and out. I probably should have just done a variable for that too. Okay, cool. So we've got that set. That all looks mostly right. And now let's go ahead and take this whole section here, which again was something. Let's see, nav. I think I already had it here. Nav container. Let's do position of absolute. Is that the right thing? Yeah. Okay, so that takes that whole thing out. So it's not actually the nav container because that's moving this as well. What is it? Nav. Mobile nav. So let's set the nav container to position relative. And that way we can move this thing around. Position absolute. Like that? Okay, cool. So that's all off the side. And it's all stacked within there right now. Let's go left. Negative 200 pixels just to make sure. Okay, so there's our whole thing. So we're going to basically want to translate this depending on whether or not that button is clicked. And maybe let's actually add some extra stuff to that button itself. So come back in here, mobile nav. That was the button. So this needs to have an aria expanded here, set to false. And then when we expand it, we'll change that to true. And rather than adding a bunch of classes, we can just use this aria attribute and use that to style where that thing is. So let's set this thing by default. And again, we'll have to change this. Let's put a little marker here. Media query. So we'll change that on desktop to be naturally not position absolute. So let's set this to this as well to, let's see, overflow hidden probably should just go on the body, I think. Let's do that. Where's my body? Overflow hidden. That way it takes that whole thing. Oh, I can't do that. Then I hide the whole thing. Let's do on the nav. You know what? I'm going to need some kind of wrapper because if I do it in the nav, it's going to clip it to that too. So let's do that. So let's put everything inside here. Inside. Is that what I want to do? Yeah, I think so. So let's put everything inside here, inside a wrapper. Oops. Wrap with abbreviation and then wrapper. And then I need to change out that body styling for that wrapper as well. So see, all of this is going to need to go on a wrapper. And so now I can wrap it and still scroll the page. And then we'll set overflow hidden on this. Okay, cool. All right, so we should be able to still scroll, but when we move that off screen, it'll actually move and won't pull the whole, you know, have a bar at the bottom. So mobile nav, let's set this to nothing right now. And you see now that happens and it's off screen there. So let's actually set this left of 0. No, left of like, I guess let's do right negative. Nope, let's not do any of that. Let's, this needs to be up top. I know I've got 2 rem and then whatever this is, I could dynamically generate this height, but for sake of time, let's just kind of pick a number. So we'll say top like 4 rem and that drops it down. And then we'll always leave it there on mobile. So let's just translate it. So transform, translate X, and we'll do like 200%. That should pop it off the screen. Is that the wrong way? Let's do 2%, just so I can see. And then 3%. Oh, that's not going to help me. 6. 20. All right, so that is what I want, 200% that way. Okay, so it's all the way off the screen there. And then when I click, see this mobile nav should be a sibling, I think. All right, here. So the mobile nav is a sibling to this button. So let's actually put the button first. So that way I can use the sibling selector, the adjacent sibling selector, and grab the mobile nav. So let's do that. hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is say whenever mobile menu has the attribute aria expanded that equals true, then I want to take the sibling, as long as it's mobile nav, and translate x like negative 200% or something. Let's just maybe negative 100% for now. Translate x. All right, so let's do that. And we do need to hook up a little bit of JavaScript to make this work. So let's grab our app.js and we'll const mobile nav, nav button equals document.query selector. And we'll grab that. Mobile nav, it probably should be an ID too, but we'll just say it's mobile nav dot add event listener. We're listening for a click. And let's just make sure something's happening. So let's console log clicked, just to make sure I hooked up everything correctly. Let's open this up. We click. Is that not mobile nav? Oh, mobile menu. I don't remember what it is. Let's just check. It's the only button we've got on our page. So let's just search for button. Mobile menu. All right. Well, it may be that the JavaScript is not broken then. Mobile menu. We click. Clicked it. All right. Let's see. Okay, cool. So let's just do this inline as an arrow function. So we'll say e.current target dot, what are we changing? Get set attribute. And we're setting the aria expanded. And we're going to set it to, let's do it in backticks here. And let's jump down here just to make this a little plainer. We'll do a ternary statement, which is like a little short if statement. So I'll say e.current target. Actually, for both of these, I guess I could just have mobile nav menu again. I've already got the E. That's fine. The event itself, target dot get attribute. It may be that one of those is a lot more performant. I'm not really sure. All right, inside brackets here so I can write JavaScript. We need to get our attribute of aria expanded. And if that equals true, which I think would be the default anyhow there, but either way, then I want to say pass back false. Otherwise, pass back true. I don't think you can toggle the aria expanded. I'm not really sure about that. But that should work. Let's check. Circle. That's not what I'm looking at. Button. Right here. Aria expanded true. False. True. It's not going back. Okay. So first of all, let's not space this out because that's doing weird stuff. Like that. All right, let's try again. True, false, true, false. Just going to true. Okay, but it is coming out, so that's good. That's our styling we want. We click and it jumps out. But that should be switching back and forth. So set our attribute e.current target, get attribute aria expanded. That's just if it exists. So let's first of all just get this. Let's console log this. Console log. And if you see what I'm doing, let me know. Uncaught. E.current target is not defined. Oh, I'm inside this. So yeah, let's just switch both of these out for mobile nav menu. And let's do the same thing here. Oh, that was just current target. No wonder. E.current target. All right, let's try that again. Mobile nav menu is not defined. Okay. Let's switch this back and do e.current target and try again. True, 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 true. So it's just true every time I click. Originally, it should be false, right? So that's just if it exists. Now we need to actually say that's equal to true. Oh, you know what? It's this triple equals because I think that's the problem. So let's just do double equals and not do type checking because I think it's just a string. Thought that was going to be it for sure. We were doing so well. Already expanded true. All right, scrap that. Let's try again one more time. Console.log e.current target. Get attribute if it's equal to true. Pull back up this console. Click, it's false. Click, it's false. Click, it's false. It's still false. Even though it's clearly true now. This should not be that difficult. Maybe let's just get rid of all this here. All right, I'm not seeing what I'm doing. It should not be this difficult, but let's just come in here and say current state or something like that would be e.currentTarget.get attribute aria expanded. And let's console log this. And again, if you see what I'm doing, you can save me a lot of trouble here by just telling me, but if you don't, that's fine too, because I clearly don't. All right, false, false, so I at least know what it is. Then what I want to do is just say, let's actually set this to a let variable, and I'll just say let current state equal the opposite of current state. And let's console.log current state here too. Has already been declared. Oh, I don't let it. I just update it. False, false, false. Again, I think it's because this is... So if this equals true, we'll just do it like this. Then I want it to be false. Otherwise, I want it to be true, which I think it's going to be a string as far as a type. So let's try again. Why is this not working? All right, well, this is not difficult, but I'm making it so. So let's just change this and say e.currentTarget dot class list dot toggle. We're going to toggle. We'll just call it open or something like that. I do need to figure out how this expanded thing works, but I don't want to spend the next 10 minutes figuring out. I just left out a simple thing. So we'll toggle this open every time. And then let's just change this styling to say if it has an open class on it. And now, there we go. Well, that already expanded is important, but since I can't seem to figure out what the problem is, it should not be complicated. So I'm just not sure what it is. So we'll do left 0 and right 0 here too. Oops. Let's see. Let's grab this whole thing. Oh, we'll nav open. Let's see. What is this inside of? Nav container, which is just that little tiny thing. All right. So, see, there's a couple different things we could do here. What if we got this thing to where this whole section, let's set this. Can we set the width on here of like 100% view width? Is that a thing? Okay, there we go. So let's set it to like 80%. There's a better way to do it than this. But let's set it to 80% view width, something like that. I'll get rid of these. 50% view width. I just have to think through structure here because everything is inside this mobile nav. But I also want this outer border. If y'all remember, we came over here. We've got this whole outer border area. And I want to be able to create that somehow, to generate that somehow. because right now it's inside of its parent, which is only as wide as this as the mobile menu button itself. So what if I set that thing to 100%? Oh no, it's going to push that all the way to the end. But then what I could do is just set this as, I think this is a Flux container, right? Yeah, so what if I just say justify items end or Flux end? So maybe it's not a Flux container, but I can make it so. So we'll do justify items Flux end. No? What is this thing? It's really hard not being able to see as much here. Nav container. Normally I've got a screen open here, but let's grab this. Justify content. Oh, duh. I'm in grid land. Justify content, flexin. Okay, so there we go. Now if I expand that out, that shows there, and this width is now set to 100%, which means I think I can kill that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now let's set the background color here, just so we can see it. And then if we set this width to 100% width of its parent, then this just needs to be brought back to 0 right here. Okay, there we go. We made that difficult. And let's change this to our var of light. White, was it? I think so. And let's see, this has some padding on it, this container itself, which is why that's not going over all the way. So there's a couple different ways we could fix that, but I could just say right -4 rem, because I think it was 2 rem actually over that way. So that's over there. The other thing I'm going to want is, regardless of whether or not it's opened, let's first of all transition this transform, 200 milliseconds ease, and now I should be able to snap this in and out like that. So let's see, is this technically, let's grab this container up here. That is the, if I can see it, nav container. Oh, it only goes there. We'll figure it out. We may not have that little click off thing, but I'm not going to spend more time on that. So let's set this to padding. Everything has been like 2 rem so far, so let's just keep that trend up. And that might be a little too far. Let's just leave it for now. So 0%, all that looks right. Let's space this out just a touch more. What did I set this nav to? Nav itself, did I have a background on that? I didn't, so it just has a white background. So maybe it actually needs to be pure white on that as well, or I can set this to the same thing. Let's just do this. Let's just set this to pure white. What theme do I use? I use, what is this thing called? Theme. Nope, not that. Also not that. Theme. Monakai Pro. I think it was like $10 US. Something like that. So I like it, and it's one of the different themes. Let's see. Oops. Again. Theme. Set accent color. What theme? That's material theme. Let's do Monakai Pro select theme. I think it's this octagon one. That's what it is. All right, back over here. Let's open this buddy back up. All right, this is going to be Flux end as the parent, but then this mobile nav is kind of getting out of control as far as the placement of all these things. But let's set this as display of grid, and then I'll do a gap of 2 rem, and that will space some of that stuff out. Let's move this open again. See, after the UL, which is down here, I need a border bottom of 2 pixels, solid, and let's just do a gray color. And maybe that needs to be light gray. Is there a light gray? Light gray color? That looks about right. And these things might need a little bit more spacing, but I think overall I'm happy with that. Now these need to be set like that, and then they wrap down below, so that's just normal little flex wrap. So let's do flex wrap of wrap. I'll do a gap of like 2 rem as well, since everything seems to be that. And then let's do this. Let's go ahead and grab each of those children. Do I have any names on any of those things? Store finder, so we can use that. So we're going to set this, its child property on flex, to a 100%. Or we could set the flex basis technically to 100%. And then maybe let's back this off a little bit on gaps. There we go. So ish, that kind of works. Now theirs goes all the way down to the bottom. So I need to come back up here to my, or down here, where is it? Nav link, nav ul, mobile nav. Let's set the height here. Or maybe I could just, since I've already got properties on this whole thing. No, I can't do that because its parent is up there. So let's do height 100%. No, can't do that because it's parent. All right, view height. I like that. Okay, so that should go all the way down to the bottom. And they prevent scrolling, so that helps them. This whole thing is a grid. So let's do this. Let's say align items start. So that should push all that up to start with. And then I actually also am going to want to align content start. Or maybe instead I need to do start. So it'll be up top. So in other words, each of the grids start all the way up at the very top. Yeah, more or less. That'll work. Now this UL I feel like needs a little bit more padding around it. So let's forget what we did here. And let's set like, man, I feel like there's a better way to do this one. Let's just set a padding on the bottom of 2 rem, of 1 rem. That'll work. Okay. And then I hover over this, and that shows all those click. There should be a little button over here, but at least I can close all that. So let's go ahead and let's work on the desktop. That's not obviously quite there yet, but so this works. I mean, but we don't want that effect for something on desktop. So let's zoom back out here. I just need anything over 768 pixels. So let's add our media queries here. So let's see, we're going to need a bunch of things different here. So we'll do media. And again, you probably want to combine these, but and screen, or we could just do media. Min width 768. And we're going to set the mobile nav to position of static, which is the default. Did I get that right? Min width 768 pixels. Oh, there we go. All right, so we've got a lot of things we need to change here. Start with, let's see, transform. Transform needs to be translate x0, and then height will be initial, and we'll do the same thing on width. All right, there we go. And then, see, I set these out as grid, which is fine, but probably let's just switch it back to display at flex, and then align items. Let's see, let's leave that alone for now, because I think, let's see, we also need, let's actually move this down and combine some of these. Store finder, let's come all the way down here. So for this here, nav actions, that's fine. This needs to change so that it stacks next to each other. So we'll do initial. I think that should work. That should stack them next to each other. And then this UL needs to change some stuff. Mostly that bottom border. Down here. By the way, I'm guessing that the sound is okay as far as the, this needs to have a closing curly brace as far as the music and stuff. I haven't done music before, and I think it's still playing. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But and I have no idea how the quality of the music matches with everything. I just quickly grabbed some stuff from YouTube that was free. So if you hate it, I might too. I don't even know. UL border of none. And then what's the other thing called? Nav link, nav UL, mobile nav. Is this the other thing I need to switch up? Nope, it's this UL too. All right, what is this stuff in? Let's see what this is. The color brackets. I don't know. I think it was, yeah, I think it's just, it might be just my theme. I'd have to look into why it's doing it that way. Sorry, that's not more help than, it's not more help to you, but yeah, I don't exactly remember. So I guess here, the display a flex should stack those. Yeah. And let's do gap of 1 rem. And then this entire thing, what was that called? Nav container needs to be align items center and justify content space between. Does that work? See, these things have some funky spacing, so that's throwing everything off. So that's the nav UL 2. So we're going to go back to padding of nothing. That fixes those. The nav, see, mobile nav. That's what we need to change. So this needs to go down here, I think. Yeah, there we go. And then let's get rid of that button. That was called mobile menu. So we'll do display of none. All right, more or less. So we need to space some of this out a little differently. Maybe let's just do it over here. So we're going to say width 100%. Maybe let's do something different here. Justify content space between. Yeah, so I do need to just do width 100% on this mobile nav thing. So width 100%. And that pretty much stacks them up that way. And let's see, I'm probably also going to need to change the padding on everything. This has a huge padding on it too. So let's get rid of that padding. So we'll say padding is 0. We'll control that differently once we're on desktop. And then I think this font size actually needs to go down quite a bit as well. All right, and then I think we'll call this good for now. So we did everything but basically the footer. And most of the work was trying to figure out how to get that dumb ARIA attribute that should not be that difficult to be fixed. So I'm sure if I rewatch that section, I'll see it, but I didn't at the time. What was I trying to do here? Oh yeah, we need some more padding here. Change this out a touch. Add some more padding around the whole outside. And then this needs to have that width of 100%. So this width is 100%. I think that was it. Yeah. And then this nav, which is the parent of everything. So the nav needs to have a gap of 2 rem. And then let's do a padding of 2 rem everywhere as well. Or maybe 1 rem up top still and 2 on the sides. And then the text itself, which is this nav link, also we said needed to be a little smaller. The font size, I'll do 0.9 rem and font weight bold, I think. At least it looked like it changed. Oh, that's ours. Maybe not quite. That does need to be text uppercase. Let's see, text decoration. Uppercase? No, transform, right? Transform. Uppercase. And let's set this to 600 rather than bold. Yeah, more or less. So that hovers about how you'd expect. This, it looks like this whole nav thing isn't quite as far as that, so which means we probably would need another wrapper technically. So I will leave that to you, but basically you just put the nav, everything inside the nav, inside a wrapper, because you want this thing to go the whole length, so you need to leave the nav alone. Now let's just do that real fast. That's not going to take that long. Unless it messes up our mobile, in which case then I will erase everything and pretend like we never talked about it. So let's call this nav wrapper or something. Get the whole nav here, all the way down. Here we go. All right, right here, Command-Shift-P, wrap with abbreviation, and let's call this .nav wrapper. And now that breaks everything. So let's not do anything there. I guess I don't mind leaving the nav padding around. But I have a gap to rem, so we'll do nav wrapper. Here we'll have a gap of 2 rem. And then let's come back up to our nav up top. Hey, we didn't need that. I didn't think we did. Let's just grab it here. Nav wrapper. And let's grab all of this and move it down this way. Does that fix all our problems? Okay. And then let's set a max width here of something like 1600 pixels. Let's do 1580 pixels and then margin auto. That's theirs, that's ours. So looks like we've got some typography stuff a little different, but that's pretty close overall. And again, this section wasn't too hard to set up. It was mostly just getting the nav bar right. All right, well, I hope this was helpful. I find, especially when I was first learning CSS, I would just take sites all the time, just grab all their assets and try to build the whole thing pixel perfect. And it might take me a week or two, but I learned way more doing that than I did just following tutorials. The benefit, though, is when you start doing that, suddenly tutorials start making a lot more sense, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't think to do it that way or whatever. So you can kind of pair those two things up, and I think for me, I find when you're actually doing the work and running into the problems yourself, you're a lot more attentive and you learn a lot more from watching tutorials and people teach. Whereas if you are just watching them, then you don't actually get as much as you think you are. And if you only code and never watch anybody else code, then you fall into your own kind of patterns, and that can be, troublesome over time when you just kind of always do the things the way you do the things, which we all kind of hit into that, and that's just fine. But obviously we didn't go off pixel perfect. We only had, what have we been going, an hour and a half, something like that. So, but we should probably call this good. Oh, we got a mobile nav that's mostly working, the desktop nav, all that kind of stuff. Well, I hope this is a help to you. There's more you could obviously do with this, and I'd love to see maybe what you would do. And if you have suggestions of what we could do next on a live stream, it'll probably be at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 till we do anything else. But I find these kinds of live builds helpful, hopefully, because they kind of walk you through it step by step as you might have to do it yourself. Well, thanks to all of you, especially if you've stuck around a long time. And if I can be of any help at all, please leave a comment in the description. And I should mention, just as a heads up, I do have a pretty long tutorial coming out for the Net Ninja. I know a lot of you came over from him. Sean's been really nice to me, kind to me, and let me post some stuff on his channel. And so that one, we're actually building a entire landing page out from Figma all the way through the build, and I use Astro. So if you've been interested in Astro, I have yet to do a tutorial on my channel where I really walk through Astro and using it. And that one isn't exactly a full walkthrough, but it gets a lot of the basics of Astro. And I also work with Open Props by Adam Argyle and some other fun stuff. So if you're interested in that, make sure you go over and follow the Net Ninja. And I think that drops sometime this next week. All right, well, thanks again so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Happy coding.